One time Randy Beeman woke up at night and he saw Dracula, but he thought it wasn't Dracula, just some clothes hanging up. Then he turned on the light and it really was Dracula. Okay, bye.
Welcome back to episode 202, part 2, where we conclude our discussion on our Looney Tunes and Warner Brothers Animation favorites. And before we start up with that show, Andy, the nincompoop that I am, totally missed this message from our dear friend M from the Verbal Diorama podcast, stating what her favorites were, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention those and give her the VIP treatment right at the front of the show. M writes, I grew up watching them, of course, but I was always more of a Disney girl, so preferred Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, but then they all showed up in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it was just a dream come true. I wasn't all that enamored with Space Jam on a recent watch, and I think it was because they didn't feel like the same characters I've watched as a kid. I do have a fondness for Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, though. As do we, Em. As do we. So, with that said, let's kick it off to episode 202. There's Baloney in our slacks, part 2. So, take it away, me.
Let's move on to another one of the stalwart Looney Tunes cartoons. 1989's Steven Spielberg presents Tiny Toon Adventures, which is now streaming on Hulu.
Yes.
And they're getting a reboot.
A reboot,
yeah.
Yeah.
They're getting more on Hulu.
Okay. Has anybody gone back and watched this recently?
Yes. I did over the last week or so in preparation.
Okay.
Not yet.
I tried. I really tried.
Was it that hard, Andy?
It's all right. Well, we talked about this a little bit on the show that we did on our YouTube channel about Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
It's very episodic.
Yes.
Yeah. And for its time, I can see that they had a very definitive idea of what they wanted to do. They wanted to bring Looney Tunes into a new generation with new characters. With that said, it really feels like it's a primer for what comes afterwards, after they've perfected the formula.
Yeah. Because
that premiere is nigh on unwatchable.
Yeah.
It's not only is it bad, it's just one of those things that, like, now, if I didn't know any better, having watched them in first run, I enjoyed them first run.
Yeah.
But going back and watching it, the writers aren't nearly as self-aware as, like, the original Looney Tunes were. And they're not nearly as funny as they think they are. They really try to throw a lot of, I don't want to say subjective humor, but, you know, they try to make it seem really like they're going against the Looney Tune grain, and you should appreciate them for that. And they're really not.
Yeah, I mean, like I said on the YouTube channel, is that it felt like with the original Looney Tunes shorts and what we're going to talk about next, the plot is just there to service the gags. With Tiny Toons, it felt like the gags were there to service the plot, and it doesn't work as well because, I mean, there are legitimate villains in there, and they're the villains almost every single time, and so it's like, okay, how are they going to fight against Monty Max this time?
Yeah, Montana Max. I'll give you the Montana Max. All that was not great, although like the ones I remember are the video episode where they were like, you know, Montana Max singing the Money song, and then like they did two things by They Might Be Giants, which was my introduction to They Might Be Giants, was via Tiny Toons.
Yeah.
the ones where Babs and Buster go to talk to Steven Spielberg, and you know it's Steven Spielberg because first they say so. Second, he's wearing a baseball hat, and he's playing what looks like Alien Invasion. And he's going, die, 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 but it's just like creeping down Mickey Mouse heads. Dum, 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 and he's blowing them away. These are the things that stuck with me over the years. And I think, Babs and Buster were okay. Plucky Duck.
Yeah.
Plucky and his sidekick, I can't remember the name of the pig.
Hampton.
Hampton Pig. Those two were the stars of the show, in my opinion.
I mean, to this day, my favorite. I mean, there are some good moments of Tiny Toons, and my favorite moments are the ones where it's Baby Plucky. I rewatched the first one with him, and his parents are trying to get him to potty trained, and first he's scared of it, and then he's like, "Water go down the hole," and he just starts like, "Diaper go down the hole, nothing go down the hole."
Remember to use the toilet paper, honey.
Toilet paper go down the hole. Toilet paper go down the hole. Toilet paper? Where toilet paper go?
And don't forget to get rid of that dirty diaper.
Diaper go down the hole. Diaper go down the hole. Bye-bye, diaper.
And then, like, the toilet starts overflowing. He's like, ew.
And then there was the parallel universe one where it was like Plucky Duck, Babs Bunny, no relation. And she's like, this doesn't make any sense.
I'm Plucky Duck.
And I'm Babs Bunny.
No relation.
How could we be related? He's a duck, I'm a rabbit. I don't get it.
Then get this. Now that's funny. Today's theme is once again ducks.
I hate my life.
It was like It's a Wonderful Life, and Buster is like just broke on the side of the street because it was, I'm Buster Bunny and I'm Babs Bunny, no relation.
I don't know. I just kind of felt like they always had. They went through the entire series with this knowledge that they always had the original Looney Tunes characters in their back pocket if they needed to bail them out of a situation. If the show isn't going anywhere, and when you're drawing out an animated show, I don't know how the hell you improvise anything, but they would always be able to just go, okay, and then Bugs Bunny comes in, or Daffy Duck teaches them a lesson, and there we go, we're done.
Well, I think the really good way is to look at it is Tiny Toons was a really kind of a safe bet for Warner Brothers. I mean, really, all you're doing is updating the classic characters for that generation.
Yeah.
But like you said, Andy, it was a precursor for something that for what came after it was way better.
Yeah.
It's like
I won't argue with that.
It's like, okay, Tiny Toons, it really was low risk for Warner Brothers, but it gave them the confidence to say, okay, let's really do something out of the just nowhere with Animaniacs.
Right.
Yep.
So shall we just move on to 1993? Steven Spielberg presents Animaniacs.
Oh God, yes.
Okay.
Do you know why you're here?
No one really knows why we're here, Doc, although Schopenhauer put forth an interesting theory.
That is not what I meant!
Then why'd you say it?
You're misinterpreting.
No, this is misinterpreting.
This is misunderstanding.
And I'm mysterious.
Ooh, a giant Pez dispenser. Want one?
Please.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Be quiet, please. I have something to tell you.
Ooh, story time.
Get right to the scary part.
What scary part?
The part with my pet.
Oh man. Okay. So again, on Hulu, also getting a reboot.
Yep.
Yes,
These
premiering
things-
in about 10 days.
Yes.
10 days from
These
when we're
things-
recording.
Fucking hold up
Well,
hard. There are certain gags. Yeah, there are going to be certain gags that date themselves.
I mean, Animaniacs holds up, yes. Pinky and the Brain, I think, hold up, yes. Slappy Squirrel, I think, fantastically holds up. Goodfellas, yeah.
Good feathers, yeah.
But then you get
There
like
are
the Hip Hippos, no.
No.
Rita and Runt, no. Katie Kaboom, what the fuck were they thinking?
Here are the ones that held up, because when I think of Animaniacs, you think of Yakko, Wacko, and Dot.
Yes.
You think of Pinky and the Brain.
Yes.
I will say, though, I jumped around a little bit just so it wouldn't be like this constant stream of episodes, because there is really no continuity to it. You can watch whatever episode you want in any order.
Yeah.
And you're fine. They even tell you how the whole thing starts at the very beginning of the show.
Right.
But Chicken Boo. I remember watching Chicken Boo and remembering watching this in college and being like, this is so brilliant because it's unbelievably stupid.
You know who that is? The man with no personality. Some say he robbed a bank and saved a puppy at the same time.
Is he for the law or agin it?
Nobody knows, because he ain't got no personality.
Some say that High Plains drifter is a chicken.
Ma'am, you may be the fastest spaghetti slinger in the West, but you sure ain't no judge of character.
That guy's a chicken, I tell you, a giant chicken.
No man who saves a puppy is a chicken.
He's a hero.
Chicken.
He's a hero of the Old West. He's a chicken. Get out of here. Oh my goodness, he's a chicken.
He's a giant chicken.
That held up a lot better than like Slappy Squirrel isn't that great.
Oh, I love Slappy Squirrel.
Rita
is an excuse for Bernadette Peters to sing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Finally got her an animated voice. Are you happy now? Oh, but the Animaniacs themselves definitely keeps the spirit of the original Looney Tunes far better, I think.
And cranks
far better than Tiny Toons.
Yes.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt.
Yeah. Tiny Toons was safe. They were like, okay, we have to focus group this and make sure it's not going to upset anybody.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Tiny Toons was. And I haven't rewatched it recently. I just have my fond memories of way back when. Whereas, we were in Newbury Comics one day and I was like, oh, it's Animaniacs season 1 on DVD used. I'm buying it. Score!
Yes.
I love everything about it. And the fact that not only they weren't afraid to move to different things. They weren't afraid to try different things. Because did anyone remember the episode The Flame?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was brilliant because it had nothing to do with anything.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And it was cute. I mean, it was Emmy bait. It was such Emmy bait.
Oh, there's one that's like it's something like the gift of gold, and it's basically all about like a scrap of gold wrapping paper floating around into different things. And 100% Emmy bait there.
Oh, I remember that one. I haven't watched that one yet, but I remember that one.
Yeah, I was just flipping through some of my favorite episodes on Hulu, and I saw a bit of that one. I was like, oh, yeah, Snorville.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I don't know. I just hope that I'm not seeing Animaniacs through rose-colored nostalgia glasses when the reboot comes up.
I don't think so. I
don't know, because it's just it was such a brilliant show, and how do you follow up with that? I mean, especially in this day and age.
Never mansplaining, Animaniacs.
it will take me a little bit to get used to Dot's kind of slightly deeper voice. I listened to the trailer and then I go back and listen to some of the original episodes. Yeah, Tress MacNeille's voice has gotten a little bit deeper over time.
Yeah. I think that, well, first of all, that's one of the most infectious themes in the history of history.
Well, Bill Clinton plays a sex.
Hey, I didn't even know what a pay-per-play contract was when they said sing along with it.
I still don't really know what it is.
It essentially means that you get paid whenever you show up on screen.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, just the whole thing, and it's a nonsense song because these are nonsense characters. They have a backstory that doesn't matter at all.
No, it makes sense.
Doesn't really
no sense.
The whole thing about them being thrown in the water tower had nothing to do with anything. Because by like the second or third episode, they're in Austria meeting up with Albert Einstein. And
Stupid Einstein dummy boy.
But it's fun too because like my daughter actually told me that she knows she was familiar with prior to watching Animaniacs. She knew about Wacko doing the states and their capitals, and then Yakko's World with the countries.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we were saying about like what's Opera Doc. They do have an episode called HMS Yakko, where they sing along with their versions of the soundtrack to the HMS Pinafore.
I'm the role model of a cartoon individual.
Exactly.
The only thing I never really got, nor did I ever care for, was Wacko's voice. I don't know why they decided to go with like the Liverpudlian accent.
Oh, Wacko's always been my favorite.
Wacko's my favorite. Yeah, I
think Wacko he's so much fun.
Yeah,
but it's just I never got that. I never got the accent.
I didn't care. I was like,
he's a cartoon. Why are you looking for logic?
I don't know.
I mean, why is Dot's real name Princess Angelina Contessa Luisa Francesca Banana Bobesca III? I don't care. I just love it.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Pinky and the Brain, shall we? Because really, if there's ever breakout stars of this show, it was Pinky and the Brain. I would get legitimately pissed because I watched this 5 days a week because it was a UHF afternoon animated thing. I would get genuinely pissed if I didn't get a Pinky and the Brain cartoon. It's like, oh, good feathers. Fuck this.
And I mean, to this day, if someone mentions like, "What do you want to do tonight?" Same thing we do every night. Try to take over the world.
Those are some of the most brilliant cartoons. Just the Jeopardy one, which now is sadly timely, but where Brain goes into the robot body. Something wrong with your head, mister? Yes, I'm actually a mouse inside a robotic body. Well, you asked a stupid question.
Can we
what do you plan on doing with that money, Brian? Planning on taking over the world.
Can we say how awesome Maurice LaMarche's what's his
Orson? It's Orson Welles. It's Orson Welles. And
he's so spot on.
He did one of the funniest Orson Welles parodies I think I've ever heard. Was that the one with the green penis?
Yeah, that was from The Critic.
Yes. But did Maurice LaMarche do the voice for that?
Oh, yes. Rosebud Frozen Peas. I'm going to put it in the clip, don't worry.
Rosebud Frozen Peas, full of country goodness and green penis. Wait, that's terrible. I quit. Just a handful for the road. Oh, what luck. There's a French fry stuck in my beard.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah. Can't do it justice. It's just so great.
But those guys have been going around continuing to Pinky in the Brain for a very long time.
Which
Like when
is
we were getting ready
sad.
for the show.
Yeah.
Well, when we were getting ready for the show, I shared it you guys like this this really fun like jazz cover of Pinky in the Brain that has those guys in it.
So there was this episode of there was a segment in Animaniacs where Maurice LaMarche was doing Brain, but he was doing it almost word for word the outtakes of Orson Welles when he was doing those commercials, and he was doing like
For the
Rosebud
peas.
frozen peas, and I know of a fjord in Norway.
We know a little place in the American far west where Charlie Briggs chops up the finest prairie-fed beef and tastes... This is a lot of tripe, you know that. You want one more?
We do, actually.
And you missed the first beef, actually, completely.
What do you mean, missed it?
You're emphasizing prairie-fed.
But you can't emphasize beef. That's like wanting me to emphasize in before July. Come on, fellas, you're losing your heads.
Sorry.
I wouldn't direct any living actor like this in Shakespeare the way you do this. It's impossible.
Well, you did the first 6 lines, and...
The right reading for this is the one I'm giving it.
At the moment.
I heard that.
and he's almost word for word. I mean, the only real difference is like it cleans up the language, obviously, because there's a part where like Orson Welles is like, if you can explain to me how you can emphasize the word in at the beginning of a sentence, I'll go down on you. And Brain says, I'll make cheese for you. So it cleans up for Family Audience. But other than that,
I'm more fascinated by what Orson Welles said.
you can find the clip online. Trust me, it is
because that is
Joe. They're
creepy.
on YouTube. They're on YouTube.
That is creepy.
I mean, this was kind of Orson Welles like trying to find work anywhere he can, and he still had his diva.
Obviously, this was pre-Unicron Orson Welles.
Yeah, Joe. Prior to my knowledge of anything cinema related, I knew Orson Welles as the "we will sell no wine before it's time" guy. In fact, I knew of that and expected him to deliver that line when he appeared at the very end of the Muppet movie.
Oh, God.
Catherine gets what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we will sell no wine before it's time.
So
now the standard rich and famous contract for Kermit the Frog and Company.
Yes, as Lou Lord.
Yep.
So now, I mean, as much as we love Pinky in the Brain, and as pissed as I was every time we didn't get a Pinky in the Brain short, I was really kind of disappointed when they gave them their own show. It was like maybe too much of a good thing.
It's not. Well, it's like Catherine says. Certain jokes only work for short spans of time.
Yeah.
And when you try to stretch something out like Pinky in the Brain for half hour, it doesn't really work out that well.
Like the first few episodes were fine. They did a good job. It's very memorable. Like we queued it up on Hulu, and it was like, oh yeah, this is one of the ones I remember.
Right. But it probably would have been a better format if they just broken it up into 3 10-minute shorts.
Yeah, or 2:15.
Or 2:15. Yeah. Rather than trying to stretch out the whole half hour.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, I mean, if anyone's going to watch this, it would be Joe. Do you remember the show on Adult Swim, Metalocalypse?
Oh, God, yeah.
That show was brilliant when there were 15-minute segments.
Well, as an aside, the show was brilliant when it was 15 minutes and when each episode was a standalone.
Yes.
When it wasn't tried, even though it tried to, you got the feeling that each episode tied to a bigger narrative.
Yeah.
It was better when it wasn't trying to be episodic.
Right.
It's just like each episode would stand on its own.
But that's the thing. It's like it's too much if you're giving it a half hour.
Right.
Exactly.
It's yeah. You're trying to draw out the joke for way too long.
Yeah. Right.
And then the third season they decided to bring in Elmira from Tiny Toons and had Pinky Elmira in the Brain. It was just awful. Yeah.
Well, Elmira wasn't a great character in Tiny Toons to begin with.
No.
No, it just the what was like on the Tiny Toon Adventures song? What was her thing?
Elmira is a pain.
Elmira is a pain, yeah, which is just like that's a kind of a throwaway lyric to begin with.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you know, she hasn't in the reboot. There's not going to be an Elmira character. You know, Elmira's cut out of it, and honestly, I think it's partly just because the forced hugging and squeezing, lacking consent thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, Go-Go Dodo was probably like, yeah, hashtag me too.
I don't think she ever got her hands on Go-Go.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, that character. We didn't talk about him much when we talked about Tiny Toons, but
because
Catherine, you had a good point.
He was such a big impact.
Oh.
Yeah, but we were lucky if they used him like 2 or 3 times a season, and he was a tertiary character at best.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kicked off Tiny Toons tonight, and it was like, we completely forgot about Go-Go, and he's a lot of fun, and he is definitely proto-Animaniacs wacky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there was one episode of Animaniacs in particular. It was the episode where Mike, I think you remember the name of the episode where like everybody is in it.
Oh yeah, is that the one? That's the one where like they were mixing up. They decided to like combine characters that shouldn't go together, just like doing wild and crazy things. It was the only time I ever actually enjoyed Rita because it was Rita and Pinky together, and they were just in a small cage. And Pinky's like, "Well, what do you want to do tonight, Rita? I don't know, eat you for dinner." And then Rita eats him. Rita eats him and goes,
"So far, this is my favorite episode."
No!
Oh, roomy accommodations, Rita!
She ate the rat 'cause Rita is a cat.
But my favorite clip from that one though is the last one. It was Baghdad Cafe. I mean, obviously, Saddam Hussein, so it's very dated at this point. But it was Yakko, Wacko, and Slappy Squirrel in the dot roll.
Yeah,
and Slappy is like Slappy wants none of it. She's like reading the script the entire time. It's like it leaps into the she's reading the action, like leaps into the guard's arms, and she's struggling up. It's like, "Can you help me out? I'm old."
Do you know who I am?
Why, did you forget?
Little fools. I am the leader of Iraq, the supreme commander, the mighty Saddam Hussein!
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm Princess Angelina, Contessa, Louisa, Francesca. Forget it. I'm done. Here, have some dynamite down your pants.
It's only like 3.5 minutes. You can actually find it on YouTube, but it is like, I love Slappy Squirrel because she is very much the old school, like, Bugs Bunny, Roadrunner, Looney Tune type thing. But she is also old and it just wants none of your crap.
Yep.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed Animaniacs. I'm looking forward to seeing what this reboot has to offer. Hopefully it's not. My biggest thing is I'm really hoping that they don't lean on the pop culture parody.
Well, I mean, my concern is that I viewed Animaniacs through such rose-colored nostalgia glasses that my fear is that this new one isn't going to relive to what the original was.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, we look through it with rose-tinted glasses, but if you go back and watch it, it does still hold up.
Oh no, it's still. But that's the thing. But that's the thing. It still holds. The original is such a classic and still holds up.
Yeah.
You're really kind of. It's hard to give this new one a chance. That's what I want to say. It's like I want to give it a chance, but it's got such high expectations compared to what the original was.
Yeah.
Right.
From what I've seen so far, it looks really good.
Yeah. I do like the fact that it's. I mean, I wish they'd bring a Slappy, but I do like the fact that it's just Animaniacs and Pinky in the Brain. They've gotten rid of all the tertiary characters, secondary characters. It's just those two, which the focusing, which is nice. And I'm looking forward to.
Man, he's a chicken, boo.
And I'm looking forward to because from the trailer there was at least one episode where it's very anime style, partly action anime and partly cutesy anime. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Nice. That'll be. It should be interesting. I mean, it's just like I'm hoping that this is more like in the line of like how they redid DuckTales.
Yeah.
Because I was explaining this to my kids today about DuckTales because they love the new DuckTales, and my daughter was like, "Well, why is this so? Why am I finding this so funny?" It's like because this isn't made for you. This is made for the people that grew up watching DuckTales in the early '90s that now have children of their own. So while there are elements there that are going to please a child, it's primarily there for people a little younger than me who spent their after school time watching this on the Disney afternoon.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things, that's the thing that makes great family television is stuff that plays on multiple levels.
Yeah.
The original Muppet Show, you could enjoy it as a child. We enjoyed it great, and then as an adult, you go back and watch it and it's like, I never caught that before.
But that's also one of the great things about the original like Looney Tunes and the original like Tom and Jerry cartoons and stuff like that is a lot of the inside jokes are very adult jokes.
Yeah.
So while the kids enjoyed the slapstick, when you go back and watch it as an adult, like Catherine says, it's like, oh, now I get it.
Well, it's why like a lot of the good Pixar movies work for everybody because there are they're jokes for kids, but there are also other layered jokes that the adults will get.
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe
you don't have to explain it to your children because it just goes over their head in a harmless way.
Right.
Right. Maybe that's one of the reasons why Tiny Toons really doesn't stack up compared to like Animaniacs, just because the jokes were so targeted to a specific audience. I mean, really, Tiny Toons tried really hard to be very hip to the moment.
Yeah.
And
definitely aimed at a younger audience.
Well, it was aimed at the at young Gen Xers, at that the young audience at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
So the jokes now won't land, or they're just very specific to that time period.
Right.
Of course, if you're a Gen Xer, they still kind of land, but absolutely, they're a little less.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I would say it's kid friendly, but not necessarily kid oriented.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
That's a good thing about family entertainment. Like the original Muppet Show was something that could play on multiple levels. And that was something they also did for Sesame Street, which they didn't do on, say, Barney, which is why Barney was so nauseating, was because it only played for like 2-year-olds and nobody else could enjoy it. Whereas, the Muppets really knew how to like do the work the vaudeville and play the multiple levels so that people could enjoy it at whatever age they were, and if they came back to it 10 years later or whatever, it would still be entertaining because they'd get jokes that they didn't get the first time around.
Right.
Absolutely. That's a great point. That is a great point. So I'm really hoping that this reboot of Animaniacs is good. That's all. It's out of our hands. That's all I can say.
It's out of our hands, but based on what little we've seen in the trailers, I have high hopes. I'm not my hopes high. I'm just like, I'm not going to shut it off right away. I'm going to give it a shot because I think that they know where the magic was.
Watch a whole episode and leave it from there, right?
Is this going to be one of those where they drop the whole season, or is it episode?
It's Hulu, so it should be episodic.
Okay.
It should be, but they do that. Hulu's got a weird model.
Yeah, they
have a weird model.
They do it weird. It's not like Disney Disney Plus where they do it episodic, or Netflix where they it's weird.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes they do it. Sometimes they drop it all at once, and sometimes they do episode. It's weird.
Yeah, Future Man was that for me. Like they dropped all 8 episodes of the 3rd season of Future Man at once, but Miss America or Mrs. America, I had to wait every week for that. Yeah. So
we shall see.
Well, let's move on. But before we do, we did get some last-minute feedback about our ancillary characters that just popped in on my Facebook feed. So we've got Kevin T. Baldwin, who has a picture here of the Abominable Snowman. And who says that pictures don't have, you can't hear sound from a picture? Because it's him saying, I will hug him and pet him and squeeze him and call him George. To which friend of the show, Dave McLean, mentioned, if you discuss this character, please use the words Lenny and of mice and men. And Kevin responds, yes and no. A bit of Mortimer Snurd in there as well. And that's one of those characters that is, it's an interesting type of character because, yeah, he's a very definition of an ancillary character, but something that if I go, I will love him and pet him and squeeze him. You know exactly where I'm going with that.
That tagline has become iconic.
Yes.
You know, and the thing is, it's not. You think it should have been iconic because of Mice and Men, but it's not. It's because of the cartoon.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like the opera,
and they know exactly.
Yeah, it's just like Wagner.
Yeah.
In my work D&D campaign, my half orc actually got a pseudo dragon, and I was like, I'm going to name him George. First, I will pet him and love him and take care of him forever, and I will call him George. Also, because he's a pseudo dragon, I was doing the thing with the Dragon in the George novel.
Oh, okay.
It was made into the cartoon of Flight of Dragons.
Huh. Interesting.
Cool.
So, we also had a GIF from John Haley of Gossamer and Bugs Bunny. And John mentions, I just found out his name was Gossamer.
Us too.
Yeah. He says, my Google search was monster in sneakers. I had to add Looney Tunes without those words. I got stuff like this. And they're like shoes. They're high platform shoes with like googly eyes on them. And I kind of wanted, he got to it beforehand because I just wanted to throw in there, John, turn your safe search on now. And
things you can't unsee.
No, and then Chris brings up Wile E. Coyote, Super Genius, which isn't an ancillary character. We already kind of talked about it, but thank you for taking the time to respond back to that.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the movies, shall we? Because we kind of mentioned this earlier, how there weren't a lot of Bugs Bunny movies. Like most of the movies that came were just compilation pieces. Right. Like the Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck movie is just a bunch of cartoons strung together with a thin story. They made their appearance in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which, by the way, interesting little piece of trivia there. Bugs and Mickey and Daffy and Donald had to have the exact same amount of lines for either studio to approve it.
Oh, and probably the exact same amount of screen time, probably.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, it was. It was the absolute same amount of screen time.
Which is why there aren't too many crossovers like that.
Oh, it will never happen again.
It's never, but it makes absolute sense. I mean, given the stakes involved, it makes absolute sense that they'd have to have equal share equal billing and shit.
Yeah.
So that we rewatched the first episode of Tiny Toons, and when Bugs shows up, Bab and Buster just kneel before me and go, "Oh, unaffordable one."
Nice. It's one of those movies I've been trying to get my kids to watch, and just they have no interest. Like, how have you no interest in watching this movie? This movie is brilliant. It still holds up to this day.
Oh
yeah, exactly.
So
it is by far one of the best, animation live action hybrids of the last 30 years.
Oh, I mentioned this when we talked about our movies of 1988 that I was obsessed with this movie.
Oh, so was I.
Rightly so.
Loved this movie.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and the special effects really do hold up because it was just a mix of practical and the work that they gave onto making the 3D work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
Well, there's also this really interesting, every time a toon is is interacting with a human being, there's like this really interesting like shine, like the lights really hit them.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it gives them texture and it gives them dimension, which is really, really cool. Now, apparently, somebody thought this would be a great idea to continue with because Space Jam came out, which is, by the way, based on a Nike commercial. Yep. God, the 90s friggin' sucked for the Looney Tunes. I'm sorry. Between between the Nike commercials and those awful, like, I don't know if you remember because I was in college, they had like the Looney Tunes characters, but they're all wearing like the baggy pants, and it was very like the look was very, very hip hop, but it
urban.
really looked like pandering, like WB store pandering.
I can say 2 words that kind of exemplifies this whole thing.
Yep.
Quack pack.
Oh no. No.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, Space Jam. Now, let me ask you guys, because Mike technically is the only one that might lightly fall into this category. That's why I wish Todd was here. But do any of you guys actually like Space Jam? Because you talk to kids who grew up in the 90s. Like, they were young adult, they were like 10 years old up to about 13, 14 years old in 1996. And they love Space Jam. You can't say a bad word about Space Jam.
I've never seen it.
Space Jam.
I saw it once at the when it came out at the movie theater, and I mean, I was, it was with my ex-wife, and I was already out of college, so I was like, I was an adult, so it really had no effect on me.
Yeah. It's just it's supposed to be like this synergy of sports and cartoons and movies, and it just
nope.
Michael Jordan is really no actor, but he is friggin' he's Orson Welles. He's talking about rosebud peas and their green penis, compared to like Muggsy Bogues and Patrick Ewing and Charles Barkley. How the hell is Charles Barkley a terrible actor? If anybody, that dude should be amazing.
Maybe a bad direction. I don't know.
It could be Bad Direction by Joe Pitka.
But Andy, everybody get up. It's time to slam now. We got a real jam going down.
Oh my God, the Quad City DJs. The fact that the movie opens with a song, actually it doesn't open by the Quad City DJs. It opens with a song by R. Kelly. So that immediately dates the movie, because there is no way 5 years after that movie was released that R. Kelly would be singing a song to open up a children's movie. That's where we got I Believe I Can Fly, by the way. It's from Space Jam.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Mike, the Quad City DJs and their song. It's like, yeah, this movie couldn't. 1996 called, and they want you to send your movie back to 1995. This is
and the amount of NBA stars they got. I mean, top-notch NBA stars.
Yeah,
I mean, they got Vlad Divac in that one too.
You know what? Fuck them. They're putting one of those Eastern Bloc basketball players that could speak 5 words of "pleased to meet English" in there. Bill Murray is the only saving grace in there. Even Wayne Knight, who is at like peak Newman at this point, can't save that movie.
Actually, 1995. How far after Jurassic Park was this?
A couple of years.
Well,
2 years.
A couple of years. Yeah, actually, Space Jam came out in 96.
Yeah.
Okay. And, and Jurassic Park was 93, right?
Yeah, so it's 3 years.
So he's very much in the consciousness.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think by that point, Wayne Knight was also making his appearances on Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, he was just playing various versions of Newman at that point.
Yeah.
But this movie is just like it. I actually listened to How Did This Get Made a few months ago, because they reviewed Space Jam, and they're doing it in front of a live audience. People are booing them. They're like, "Oh, fuck you! This movie's terrible." What the fuck is going on with this thing?
Let's not forget let's not forget that they had to create a female animated character because they pretty much had no other female characters.
I was just going to say, Jason Mantzoukas on that episode was just like, am I supposed to want to fuck the rabbit?
No. I hope. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen it.
I mean,
cartoon. Then we're just going back to Hollywood, if she could.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Oh jeez.
Oh god. Yeah. No, we haven't delved that far into episodes yet, where it's like, okay, let's talk about adult-oriented cartoon movies that were terrible. Yeah, it's an idea though. No, seriously, the design of Lola Bunny. She's got like the riding high athletic shorts. She's got the half shirt, which, if it weren't a children's movie, would definitely have like that little bit of underboob, just underneath the bottom of the shirt. You know, like
yeah.
And I'm sure that some fanfic writer has already written and drawn that.
Oh yeah, there's a Rule 34. You know, for
there's
it already.
absolutely a Rule 34 for there.
Yeah.
They first invented Lola Bunny, and then a week later they invented porno Lola Bunny. You Joe would like that joke.
Honestly, I'm trying to, again, I haven't seen Space Jam, and you guys are describing this character, and I'm just going to that long distance runner in Animalympics.
Directed by the director of Tron, Steve Leisberger.
Yeah.
Where did this generation of furries come from? Well, let's go back to the 80s and 90s.
Let's go back to 1980 when NBC put out a cartoon to tie in with the Olympics that were happening, called Animalympics, and they actually refer to the country as Eurasia. All right. So you don't have to. I mean, you can go out and seek out Animalympics. I think it's on YouTube. You said, Catherine?
Yeah, I think I'm quite sure we started watching it on YouTube, and we didn't make it all the way through. I'm like, I watched this thing like 3,000 times back in the early 80s.
Well, yeah, it was an HBO Saturday afternoon staple.
Yes, it was. If you haven't seen it, one of the guys I watch on YouTube is a guy named Saberspark, and he does animation reviews, and he's got a really good one on Animalympics. So check that one out. It's pretty awful.
And this qualifies as a Warner movie because it is distributed by Warner Brothers.
Oh god, not made by Warner Brothers, just
distributed.
Oh man. So now, what about some of the other movies? Like there is, what was it? Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Yes, Back in Action, starring Brendan Fraser, Jenna Elfman, and Steve Martin.
And if you want to find more information about that, just go on IMDb and just look up Jenna Fisher's IMDb page, because it's the shortest route to get to that movie.
Jenna Elfman.
Jen Elfman. I'm sorry, what did I say? Jenna Fisher?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Jenna Fisher's on The Office. Never mind.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, that's really all you have to say about the movie right there.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't do well. It's not entertaining. And it's because, I really don't think that the writers they don't get the Looney Tunes. It's not all just about the dropping anvils on people's heads or throwing dynamite down their pants or anything like that. There's a spirit in those Looney Tunes cartoons, especially the stuff that we kind of had on the Saturday mornings with the music that plays a very big character in, like, when someone's walking with some sense of urgency, you can just hear that music in the back of your head already, like bump, 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 bump.
Yeah.
Well, it's exactly the same thing when people have tried to do the Muppets and have done it wrong. It's like all of this stuff came from vaudeville, and if you don't keep the vaudeville in it, it just doesn't have what it was.
No, exactly. And it's tough because Warner never had these cartoons never had the guiding voice of a Walt Disney. There are names. When you mention the names like Chuck Jones, Fritz Freleng, even Mel Blanc, they're long dead.
Yeah.
and none of them really had a creative direction that they could take them. There wasn't like this. They didn't have one person like a Walt Disney who'd be like, "Well, this is my idea. Here's how we're going to make it grow."
Right. They didn't have a singular visionary.
It's Jack Warner. How much did it cost? That's too much.
That's all it was. That's all you wanted.
Welcome to our discussion of old-timey Hollywood. Woohoo! Yeah. So now, Mike, you had mentioned that you were going to try to watch the new Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yes.
On HBO Max. Did you end up watching an episode?
I watched 2 episodes, actually.
And what's the verdict?
It's like both of them. It seems like they do like a 5 to 6 minute short cartoon. Then they have like a little interstitial one that's like maybe 30 seconds, and then they have another 5 to 6 minute one afterwards.
Okay.
The first one it starts with Daffy and Porky trying to get the treasure of the monkey bird. And it's like the animation style. It's kind of like a cross between Chuck Jones and Fritz Freleng, really. Mm-hmm. It's definitely Daffy, especially. You can tell he's definitely more of the old school Daffy. He's more of a Daffy than mischievous Daffy.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, he does that a few times. And I mean, that was all right. I mean, it was something to watch. The Bugs Bunny one, it was like it had him being challenged by Yosemite Sam as like the greatest arm wrestler in the Old West, and that actually did give me a couple laughs. But I mean, it feels like they know. It feels like it's done by people that know all of the original Looney Tunes, and they're trying to do something like that. But it's like a half step where they should be a full step.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure this nice homeowner won't mind sharing his pool with the local wildlife.
If there's one thing I have zero tolerance for, it's sharing my pool with the local wildlife.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy!
Now then, time for the first dip of the day. What's up? A rabbit?
Hiya, Duck. Nice swimming hole you got here.
What do you think you're doing in my pool?
The backstroke.
It's very much like the new Mickey Mouse cartoons, where they're trying to recapture the stuff, but whereas the new Mickey Mouse cartoons, it really kind of forms its own thing in a sense. It seems like they're just trying to kind of recapture the old stuff, and it's not
working.
Quite,
yeah,
it's a fine attempt, but it's not something I think I would. I mean, again, I've only seen 2 episodes. Maybe when I get to the ones with like Roadrunner or Wile E. Coyote, maybe they'll blow me away. But right now, it's like it's fine to watch. It's not grabbing me.
Okay, and that's the thing too, is because Bugs Bunny essentially is shorts to begin with.
Yeah.
If I'm going to put this on just to be the televised babysitter for my kids, I'm going to do the originals. I'll do the older stuff versus this.
The little interstitial is in the first episode is just Marvin the Martian trying to claim this little asteroid, but his like flag keeps bouncing out of the ground. It's a fun little thing.
I'll give it a try. I mean, I'm game to give it a try at least once.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. I'll say that.
So, anybody else have anything else to discuss with our Looney Tune adventures here?
No,
I'm good.
I'm good.
All right, Catherine.
Nope.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you very much, everybody who contributed to our Looney Tunes spectacular. I can't believe it took us 202 episodes to finally do it, but here we are. We finally got it. Yay! So I'm looking forward to having more cartoon discussions in 2021, perhaps.
So are you saying you want more animated discussings? discussion.
Oh,
Well, I will
see yourself out, Mike.
I will.
I'm editing this one.
I will say I had a couple of recommendations for this episode, but we're kicking it down the road.
We are kicking it down the road because Joe had mentioned that he would like to, because it was in the House of Warner, discussing Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, and that is such its own episode. That will definitely be 2021 discussion.
Although actually, Paul Dini did work on some Tiny Toons and Animaniacs. So
I saw that. I saw that in the credits.
So good for him.
Yeah. We had to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So So anyway, we've decided also that 2020 essentially has been an always winter, never Christmas type of year.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to deliver with 2 Christmas episodes this year. So episode 203, we are going to discuss our nerdy Christmas music playlist. This is something that Mike, myself, Adam, and I think Jim did about 9 years ago, like 8 or 9 years ago. We did this list together, but now things have changed. The group has changed, so I'm really interested in seeing what we would do to put that together. And they don't have to be just nerdy Christmas songs. They can be novelty songs. They can also be just our favorite version of a traditional song.
Yep.
So I think that will be a lot of fun. We're going to get that started early because, by the time this one comes out, by the time the next one comes out, it'll be past Thanksgiving. So it'll already be the Christmas season. Right?
Because we do Christmas after Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Right.
So we are also going to...
Some of us do, but others, like me, likes to listen to Christmas music all year round.
Oh, boy. I'm going to listen to it if I have to. So we will be putting out the call on our social media pages for your suggestions as well. That is our Twitter feed at Geek Salad Radio, our Facebook feed at Geek Salad Podcast. And while you're at it, check out our archive at geeksalad.podbean.com, where you can actually get the original Christmas music episode, which I will totally link up closer to go time on the show. You can also check us out wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening to this one now, you already know where to find us. But you can also check us out on YouTube at Geek Salad Podcast. And because Christmas is coming up, why don't you treat your loved ones to some Geek Salad merch at TeePublic using the keyword Geek Salad Podcast.
Nice.
Nice. I am the consummate salesperson.
I was going to say shill, but sure, whatever.
Retired.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God. One thing I am so... If 2020 has done anything, it meant that I never have to do an iPhone launch ever again in my life. And this is the first year... This is the first year I will not have to work a Black Friday.
Yeah. Trust me, it never gets old.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. My boss was like... He has to keep reminding myself because he says, it feels like you've been here for a few years. I'm like, yeah, no, I've been here since January. So
it just feels like a few years at this point.
It just, oh my God, Andy, every moment with you is just a ball and chain. So anyway, yes. So that's what I'm thankful for. And we're thankful for all of you for listening to this fine episode tonight. So until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
I'm Joe.
I'm Catherine.
Go forth, be nerdful, and now our song is done.
Goodbye, nurse.
Their mousy worth, they'll overthrow the earth. They're Dinky, Pinky, and the brain. Narf.
Please enjoy, dance, mingle. Go meet Christopher Walken.
Hello,